Yo, what's up guys? I'm Zach Bollock and today I'm going to be making a video on all of my camera gear for 2018. So first up, the camera bag that I use is the Eve Case Extra Large DSLR backpack. I just recently got this bag and mainly just I wanted to get this because of how big it is and how much equipment it can actually hold. My previous bag that I was using was this Canon DSLR backpack, and this is a much smaller bag, which is good for going on trips, but it was getting to a point where I couldn't really hold all of my equipment, and it wasn't really well organized because I just had to shove everything in here. So first up, let's go over the camera that I use. Currently the camera that I have right now is the Nikon D3300. This is actually my dad's and I'm filming on mine right now. I got this here about 2 years ago, and then it's really only been a year that I've gotten seriously into photography and videography. So I would honestly like to have a much better camera, but for only being a year into it, this has allowed me to learn a lot of the essential things that you need to learn about photography and videography. And you don't necessarily need the best gear when you're first starting out. You can master what you need to learn on a cheaper camera and you're still able to produce really good content. One thing that I do like about this is just the fact that it does still have 1080 60 frames per second, and so you still are able to capture really good slow motion. One of the biggest accessories that I use for it is the GlideCam XR2000. I really wanted to have some sort of stabilizer just so that I am able to get really smooth footage. And a lot of the stabilizers that are out right now are pretty expensive, but this GlideCam XR2000 I got on eBay for I think like $150. So it allows for even more natural movement because it's sometimes it's not going to be perfectly stable, but it allows for a more natural feel, and the better that you get with it, the smoother your footage will get. But it's a cheaper option and it's still a really great piece of equipment. One of the more recent pieces of gear I got is the Manfrotto 290 Lite tripod with the Be-Free fluid head. Now this is a dedicated video tripod. Its main purpose is for video, and it's a compact travel version, so it's not going to be really big, bulky, and heavy. And I'm looking forward to using it to get smoother pan shots. Moving on, the other main camera that I use is GoPros. So right here I have the GoPro Hero 4 Black, and I have the older GoPro Hero 3, I think it's the white edition. I honestly don't use this camera that much just because the image quality isn't as good and the capabilities of it is not nearly as good as the Hero 4 Black. So one of the main accessories I use is the GoPro head strap. It just allows for really good first-person storytelling with the use of the GoPro. It's a lot better than holding it in your hand. This actually gives you the image of what you're seeing, so this is a really useful tool. I also have various selfie sticks. This one is a lot smaller that I can use when I'm out wakeboarding or whatnot. It's not that hard to hold on to, and it also has an arm strap so in case I were to lose it. Then I also have this selfie stick, which I made out of PVC pipe and just a bike handle grip. It works really well. It floats in water too, so this is awesome. Finally, one of the biggest things that I have is just a normal bike helmet with a GoPro mount attached to it. This is really useful when it comes to wakeboarding and tubing when I'm up in my cabin. Allows for me to get shots easily when I'm out there. With the head strap, it's really unstable and the GoPro can wobble, but this is stable on your head, so it allows for better shots. The last camera that I use is the DJI Phantom 3 Professional. I got this camera probably about 7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, and the reason why I got this is because it allows for a different perspective when you're filming. It allows for a completely different angle that can really help tell your story. I went with the Phantom 3 just because it's cheaper, and only really being a year into videography, I didn't want to spend a ton of money, and this was a great way to still stay on a budget but allow to enhance your videos a lot. It's still really capable and can create some really good image quality. Now that we've went over all the cameras that I use, let's get into the lenses that I use on my D3300. So to start off, I have the two kit lenses that came with the camera. I have the 18-55 and the 55-200. Now both of these are variable aperture, and so they're not going to be the greatest lenses, but for starting out they can allow you to still start making your videos, and they work pretty well. The one lens that I still use out of these two is the 55-200, just because it allows me to zoom in a lot, get to that 200mm focal length, and get a different perspective of the location that I'm shooting at. One of the first lenses that I invested on was the Nikon 50mm 1.8. This is one of the best lenses that I would recommend for beginners just because it's a cheap lens that can really enhance your production. Especially for photos, this really got me motivated and excited to take more photos because it allows for really good bokeh and can really enhance the quality of your image. This lens allowed me to learn a lot about my camera and just camera settings in general and using settings. This is when I switched over to manual mode and really started to learn the basics of photography and videography. Finally, the last lens that I own, I'm currently filming with. It's the Sigma 18-35 f1.8. This is by far my favorite lens that I have. It allows for wider angle shots and is really good in low light and has really awesome image quality. Since we're talking about lenses, one of the things that I wanted to mention was one of my most recent purchases. It's the Tiffen Variable ND filter. Now this filter is kind of expensive. It's around $100, but it's really going to enhance my video production. Say I'm filming in 60 frames per second, I'm going to have my shutter speed at 1/120th of a second. You always double your shutter speed based on your frame rate that you're shooting at. And so what this filter will do is, it's a variable ND, so it's going to change the exposure of your image or video just with this filter, and so you're not going to have to change any settings in your camera. Now the key to this is that you can buy cheaper versions, but the glass isn't going to be as well. So if you're investing a lot of money in your lenses and in your glass, you really want to spend some money and invest in filters that you're putting on your lenses. Now when you purchase a filter for your camera, it's going to come in a certain thread size, and so one filter isn't going to fit every single lens. But what you can do is buy one filter and then buy step up or step down rings. So these were pretty inexpensive. I bought them off eBay for around $15, and I have a full set of step up and step down rings. So no matter what size, diameter lens I'm using, I can still use my same variable ND filter. The next piece of equipment that I use on my camera is for audio. I own the Rode Video Micro. It's a cheaper solution but still allows for better quality that's coming out natively from your camera. If you're going to be filming a lot of video, it's important that you make sure that you have plenty of batteries. I own 3 batteries for my D3300, my DSLR. One's in the camera and 2 right here. And I own 4 batteries for my GoPro. The GoPro batteries don't really last that long, so I always make sure I have plenty. You never want to be out on a shoot and run out of the battery and then not be able to film for the rest of the day. Now one important thing that I want to talk about is storage. After spending this past year getting heavily involved in photography and videography, I've really only been storing all of my footage and photos on my laptop, and it's starting to fill up my laptop and honestly become a mess. So recently I picked up a Seagate 2 terabyte slim hard drive, and this is just going to allow for me to store all of my footage and all of my videos on here and keep it in an organized manner. The last thing that I want to touch on is cleaning kits and how are you going to keep your lenses and your camera clean. It's very important that before you're shooting you make sure that all of your lenses are clean so that when you finish a shoot you don't realize that you have specks all over your images because you never cleaned your lenses. One of the most handy things is a little duster to use the air to get all the dust off of your lenses. And then also you can buy simple cheap cleaning kits that have lens cloths and a sensor cleaning kit just to make sure that you are getting the greatest image quality possible out of your camera. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is going to be all my camera gear that I use for 2018. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. And if you want to see any more types of videos, whether it's travel videos, action videos, or just tutorials on using cameras, camera settings, and using Adobe programs like Lightroom and Premiere, subscribe below because there's going to be a lot coming in 2018. Thanks.